How's it going, everybody? This is Mike again from Big Fat Ghost Vinyl, back with another album review. Today we got another classic progressive rock album and another debut. And in this case, it is Alan Parsons' project debut, Tales of Mystery and Imagination, Edgar Allan Poe. This is likely my favorite Alan Parsons project album, just because it's probably the most progressive leaning. Think it sound political, but really nothing to do with politics here. I mean, it's Edgar Allan Poe we're talking about. We're talking about macabre. We're talking about goth. We're talking about marrying your cousin. That's what we're talking about here. So I really, really like this album, honestly. I think a lot of people would say Eye in the Sky is his best album, their best album. But, I think this one is probably my favorite for a couple reasons, and we'll get into those in a few minutes. So I just have some notes about the album I like to go through, of course, as always. It was released 25th of June, 1976. It was recorded at Abbey Road partially, which, makes sense. If you know anything about Alan Parsons, you may know that he was an engineer for some of the best albums of all time. Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd, Abbey Road, Beatles, a few others, in between those two bands, I believe. So what you can expect with an Alan Parsons Project album is excellent, lush production, and this album is no exception. From the first song to the end, it's immaculate. So let's just go over a few things. So cover here, this is actually an alternate cover. The original cover, which I'll show at the end, is a gatefold and actually has some information about subject matter and the impetus to why they decided to go with this subject. And that's one of the reasons I love this album, is the subject matter is awesome. I love Edgar Allan Poe. I think a lot of people do. I mean, his stories are spooky and entertaining and fun. He's one of the best American writers of all time. So an album about it, and it's progressive, and you can't go wrong. Album cover itself is a Hypnosis album cover, which, same thing with this one right here. iRobot, which is his sophomore album, which is, some people say it's his best album. It might be. I think I'm going to say this album actually is probably my favorite, but we'll get into that. So for personnel, we have a lot of people I could name, but I'm honestly just going to give the shout out to Alan Parsons and Eric Wolfson for the two main core members of the Alan Parsons Project. Like every other Alan Parsons project, there are a laundry list of people and session musicians on these albums. And I'll go into a few of the vocalists on their respective tracks. So, yeah, let's get into the track listing. And the album starts with Dream Within a Dream. And this is an instrumental, it's soothing, it's a build-up. If you know Alan Parsons, there are a lot of build-ups. And this album, probably one of the main reasons I love it so much, is it has some of the best build-ups and climaxes of any album I've ever heard. So Dream Within a Dream, of course, is taken from an Edgar Allan Poe story, which is every song on this album is as well. So Dream Within a Dream, the subject matter of that story in itself is kind of the reality of life and the nature of existence, which is, a great topic in itself, which is awesome. But here we have awesome build-up here, which is, spiraling keyboard work paired with some excellent sound effects, excellent I think there's some guitar here. Awesome production, like I said before. The production here is, you want to test out speakers or equipment, you should look towards Alan Parsons. If you ask me, play an Alan Parsons Project album, because it will give you a good scope and full breadth of sound. So this song, awesome. Starts off with a bang. Transition wise, we go straight into the Raven, and that's one thing that's awesome about this album, is it flows very well, akin to, a Dark Side of the Moon, or any great progressive rock album. It flows very well. So we go into Raven, where we have electronic vocals, I believe, by Parsons himself, which are awesome. This song is epic. I think these vocals kind of foreshadow iRobot, which he would go into with, songs like Breakdown, and I can't remember the other song. I think it's Voice, I believe, on that album. You can kind of see, tastings of iRobot in this album in a lot of ways. A lot of people consider that his best album, and it could be, but I think the suite on side 2 of this album is what makes it probably my favorite. It's so awesome. So the Raven includes a lot of like choir vocals, and actually has like horns involved as well. So I'd say Raven's, one of the better songs for sure. But of course, a great opener, After Dream Within a Dream, and once again, great subject matter, given the story. I think The Raven's probably one of the better Edgar Allan Poe stories. And then we have Telltale Heart. So this song, I like this song. Do I like it as much as The Raven? I think what really gives this song its place is the flamboyant vocals by Arthur Brown. They're dramatic, and they're fun vocals. He goes through all sorts of ranges with his vocals, and they're awesome. So I think that's probably what this song gives the album. But besides that, I think this is probably one of the weaker tracks. Great riffs though. It's a mellow bridge in the middle too, with a middle section that gets real quiet, and I think it brings a great dynamic. And I mean, there's no skip on this album, but I say that's probably the weakest song. But that's okay, because the rest of the songs are phenomenal, and it's not really weak. It's just, comparatively. And next we go to the Cask of Amontillado. Now this is awesome, because this is a mellow song. This is a slow burner, melancholy, and it's just very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's very, I guess, somber, or like thoughtful in a way. And it was sampled by Lil Wayne, which I thought was awesome. I mean, I grew up listening to a lot of Lil Wayne, and this song was sampled on It's Good, off of the Carter 4. Recently, I think that was 2010. And it's just one of those moments that delivers when you get, into deep music, and you hear something that was sampled in a rap song, and it's like, oh, Alan Parsons did it in 1976. That's where that comes from. So this song is awesome. Obviously, the subject matter is that of solidarity. Excuse me, not solidarity. I guess it could be solidarity. Solitude and confinement, as the story is about someone getting locked away, enchained in the dark. So this has got a great prog midsection. It's got horns, choir, and then it has that epic verse that comes in that Easy did sample. So I think I said Yeezy. I think he's Jeezy. Can never remember. I think it's Jeezy. I think Lil Wayne's Jeezy. Not Yeezy, but he might. You know what? Honestly, no. I'm thinking of Steely Dan. I don't think Kanye. Kanye's probably sampled some Alan Parsons in the project, because you got to think about it. I mean, Alan Parsons has so many great sounds, and what is one of the most studio focused projects bands ever. So I mean, for a rapper, for a producer, it's a gold mine. Okay, so moving on, we have Dr. Tar, and I think, what is it, Dr. Tar and System of Dr. Tar and Professor Feather. Now this is my pick for the deep cut. Easily my favorite deep cut song. Crushing riff here. Crushing riff and vocal hooks are awesome. It's definitely the guitar-centric tune of the entire album. The guitar really flows through this one, obviously with the crushing riff. For sure my favorite deep cut, maybe even my favorite song off the whole album. But, you know, it's hard to compare with what's coming up. So, yeah. I think what's also cool about this, so this is the end of side one. Alan Parsons does this a lot, where he returns to motifs and themes of past songs at the end of, you know, this song in particular. He does it on the album right behind me, Turn of a Friendly Card as well, where he kind of melds together different motifs from each song into like a final little coda, and he does this on this song, which you know, I think he's a genius. There's certain producers, and especially in the progressive rock world, where it's very left brain. You get your Keith Emersons, or your Rick Wakemans, your Geddy Lees, you know, your Roger Waters. Alan Parsons, I think, is right there with those guys. I think those guys are all geniuses. But, you know, we'll never know technically, but, you know, they put out enough. So that's side one. Fall of the House of Usher is probably my favorite Alan Parsons Project song, period. This song is just phenomenal. It basically is like a 4-part or 5-part suite, with like a 7-minute intro that, for some people, the 7-minute intro might be a little much, to be honest. But I think it's awesome. It's essentially 2 build-ups. You know, like we have Dream Within a Dream as a build-up for sure at the beginning of the album, but this is basically 2 build-ups and 2 crescendos, you know, together in a 15-minute prog masterpiece. So all I have to say about this is, you might wonder why I have Michael Jackson's Thriller behind me. And if you know music and you know deep trivia, you probably aren't actually questioning this when The Fall of the House of Usher is the title of this track. The one thing this album needed, and I don't know why they couldn't have done it, Vincent Price. That album has it. Vincent Price narration on Fall of the House of Usher would have been so incredible. And it's ironic because actually in the reissue, they end up getting Orson Welles to do narration, which is cool. I mean, it's Orson Welles, you know. But Vincent Price, right, you know, Fall of the House of Usher. He plays Usher. I'm forgetting his first name, but regardless, Vincent Price would have been awesome. MJ got him, but apparently Alan Parsons couldn't. Maybe he was thinking the same thing. Who knows? Back to the music. This song, best way to describe it is, It's spooky, obviously. You know how this whole album has spooky subject matter, but you play this album, maybe turn the lights off. 8 minutes in, incredible crescendo, but that's not even the best one. I mean, that one maybe gives the biggest impact, but Pavane, part 4, incredible. I mean, that's one of the best progressive rock moments I think I've ever heard, maybe ever will hear. It's orgasmic. I mean, just imagine traveling through an interdimensional portal. That's the soundtrack. That's it. That's all you need. I mean, you're going through a portal. That's all you hear. It would fit perfectly. There are certain songs like that. You know, I think of like, you know, The Straightener by like Black Sabbath on Sabbath 4 reminds me of the same type of thing. I love songs that make you feel like you're fucking falling into a portal. Because, I mean, that's what progressive rock and great rock does for me is it take you somewhere awesome. And this song does that in spades, let me tell you that. Easily my favorite Alan Parsons Project song. So, enough said about that. I mean, listen to it. If I could say one thing, listen to that song. It's 15 minutes, but it's worth it. I'm actually sad because I've listened to it much. It's jaded, right? So now it has the same impact sometimes, but it'll never be like when I first listened to it. So, and then of course, the album ends to One in Paradise, and it's awesome dynamic to, you know, the straight prog, which is Follow the House of Usher, straight progressive rock, into To One in Paradise, which is very much Floyd-esque, very Richard Wright, David Gilmour harmonies. It's very much in that sphere, which is not a surprise. I mean, you got to think Parsons has this stuff on his brain. He worked on Dark Side 3 years earlier, so this is definitely a highlight of the album as well. I think it's probably one of the better songs, and it reminds me of ideas and elements he would go forward with in albums like I, Robot and Eye in the Sky. So, yeah, wow. I mean, this album's awesome. I have really nothing to say besides it's for sure a gem. It's definitely one of my favorite progressive rock epic albums. In that sense that it has a 15-minute long song on it. It's up there with the Close to the Edges and the Relayers and the, you know, Scheherazade's. But here's the thing. This album, I don't think it has as good a reputation as, you know, albums like Eye in the Sky or I, Robot. And I think it's because it has stuff like that 7-minute long prelude, which, to be honest, I mean, if you're not into progressive rock, a 7-minute long prelude with like storm noises and rain and thunder, I mean, you gotta be, it's a time and a place kind of thing, you know. It comes with the territory with albums like this. But I don't know what else to say about it besides the cover is awesome. I like this cover a lot, but the original cover was pretty cool too, because just with the information inside. So, yeah, it's a gem. It's a gem for sure. I think Edgar Allan Poe would probably like it. Probably would blow his mind, frankly, and his cousin he's sleeping with. So that's you know, just par for the course, right? You know, it's just I guess it's the 1800s. I mean, I literally learned that from my friend has the other version of the album, and it literally just tells you he marries his cousin, and it's like they're throwing shade at him like that, but they're also like praising this guy with all his stories. Hey, you know, Whatever. 8.5. It's great. It's close to a masterpiece. I think Fall of the House of Usher is a masterpiece, but is it a masterpiece? It's probably the closest thing they ever got to, but I don't think it's on the level of something like Close to the Edge or Dark Side or Abbey Road. It's really close though, so 8.5 is probably right around where I'd stand. So yeah. Well, I'd like to thank everyone for watching. Once again, this is definitely a pickup if you're into progressive rock at all, or even just like Alan Parsons. Maybe you've only heard Eye in the Sky. You know, speaking of the other MJ, made Sirius a huge hit during the 80s with the intro, Walk On with the Bulls. That album is awesome, okay? This is where it's at. Hope everyone's doing all right, and thank you. Have a good night.